Today I'm going to talk to you about 5 myths of buying a home, and I'm going to get started right now. Hey everyone, my name's Jamie Pretzi. I'm a real estate agent in Miami and Miami Beach, and today I'm going to talk to you about 5 myths of buying a new home. But first, before I get started, if this is your first time here, hit the subscribe button so you never miss another update. I do put out new videos every week. Also, use the link in my information box and download our free relocation guide today. Okay, let's get started. So the first myth I hear is it's not the right time to buy. Now, I have been in business for over 15 years and I hear this pretty much every single year. It doesn't matter if it's a good market, a bad market, a buyer's market, a seller's market. I always hear, it's not the right time to buy, I'm going to wait. And I get it. It may not be the right time to buy for you. Maybe you have some financial situations going on. Maybe you're just not comfortable buying right now. Maybe you're not ready to make that step. So I get it. It is not always the right time to buy for everyone. At the same time, I will tell you that it is very hard to pick a perfect market because typically we can't tell what is the market until we are 6 to 8 months behind the current market. We can always study the pricing and we can give you good advice based on past trends and what is going on in the market today. But it's very hard to time the market going forward because there's just so many factors involved. For instance, who would have even known that we were going to have a pandemic? And that has driven the market in a very specific way. So we don't have a crystal ball, but what we can do is advise you based on past trends, what is going on today, and today's current market knowledge. But if you're concerned about buying because it may or may not be the right time for you, okay, fine. Hold off and wait until you feel more comfortable. Myth number 2, it's cheaper to buy a fixer-upper. Now, I have a lot of people who are very handy people, or they have friends or family who are handy people, and if that's you, okay, go for it. But just remember, if you are purchasing a property, you will also have an appraisal if you need financing, and you will also need to get insurance if you get financing. And if you are doing those two things, the house has to be in a certain condition in order to qualify for insurance and the bank. So just make sure that if you're really serious about getting a fixer-upper, that you understand everything that's involved. And you have to have the cash on the other side of buying this property in order to actually do those repairs. It can be very time consuming and you can start digging and things can cost a lot more than maybe you were expecting. So just know that even though sometimes you may pay a little bit more for a house in better condition now, it may be better for you than buying a lot cheaper home and doing the renovations yourself. It's just going to depend on a lot of factors that we can talk about, but just know that buying a fixer-upper is not always the best way to go for many people. You've seen the shows on TV, you know how it can get very tricky, and that is the reality. Myth number 3, I don't need to get my buyer's agent involved until after I find a house that I like. Please don't do this. If you are going to use your own agent to assist you throughout the process, they need to be involved from the very beginning. If you go out over the weekend and look at properties without your buyer's agent, there is a very good chance that a seller's agent who has shown you the property without your own agent, they might not allow that agent to get involved afterwards. We have very strict rules and regulations about introducing a property to a buyer and when another agent can come in and assist a buyer. So just know that if you're serious about buying a property, you need to get your own agent involved from the very beginning because it can make it very complicated for them to get involved after you find a house that you like if you're out looking without them. And we always go over this at the buyer consultation so we can explain to you how this works and what you need to know when you're out looking at properties, so you don't find yourself in a weird situation that makes buying that property complicated. Myth number 4, my first step is to go house hunting. No, don't do this. Your first step, if you're really serious about buying a property, is to reach out to your buyer's agent and make a game plan. Do a buyer consultation so you know what to expect. And from that buyer consultation, if you need financing, you really need to speak to a lender because they need to go over property taxes and insurance expectations, and we need to talk about that in order to create a budget scenario for you so you are looking at the right types of properties for your budget. People really underestimate insurance and tax expenses in our area. So if you have a very specific budget for insurance, are you willing to buy property in a very expensive flood zone? Are you willing to pay a certain amount for a property because of the insurance? What about the condition of the roof? Are you willing to take on a roof and pay for a new roof after you close? Are you okay with buying an older home and you're going to renovate it, but you're going to deal with more expensive insurance until you're able to do those renovations? There is a lot to know before you just run out and look at properties, because you can really spend a lot of time looking at the wrong type of properties. So you want to make sure that you're spending your time on properties that you actually want to buy and that you have a budget to purchase in today's market. And number 5, one of the biggest myths is, if I look hard enough, I will find the perfect property. I will tell you, in many situations, no matter the budget, and we work with people who have smaller budgets and they're first-time buyers, all the way up into people who are buying the super luxury properties. So it doesn't matter what your budget is. Very often at some point there's going to be some type of small compromise that you may have to make. Maybe it's location, maybe it's the type of home, maybe the condition of the property. So just know that there's no such thing typically as a very perfect, everything perfect property. There's typically something that you're going to have to compromise on. And honestly, if you have someone else who is purchasing that property with you, another loved one, a family member, someone who is in on the transaction with you, probably most likely you're not always going to agree 100% on every single feature of that property. So there will always have to be some type of compromise. Whether it's small, medium, or large, there's typically some type of compromise that has to happen. One of the best things that I think that we do is really meet with our buyers. And now in today's situation, we can always do that through an online conference, Google Chat, Zoom, whatever's easiest for you, and really create a buying scenario for you during the buyer consultation so that we can explain to you what to expect in today's market. Just know that whenever you decide to buy a house, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to come in and start telling you a lot of these myths. The most important thing to do is just block it out, stay focused, work with a good buyer's agent who can best guide you. We're always here to be a resource for you, and if you have any more questions about buying real estate today, let us know, and we will see you soon.